Well, you want to get started?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Well, since you've only got one thing, I've got a couple. I'll start. So I will start with the show behind me, a film behind me, dropped on Amazon Prime this week, I believe. And it's called Deep Cover. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard, this guy Orlando Bloom, the guy from Ted Lasso, whose name I always forget, but he's great. He's been in a few things. His name is Nick Mohammed. But then it also, as side characters, has Patty Considine from House of the Dragon, where he was amazing. There's a girl who she's Asian. Her name is Sonoya Mizuno.
Oh, I
Um,
love her.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
also in House of the Dragon. She
Yes.
is again a small part, but really plays it well. And then Sean Bean is in this also, and so it's a great cast. Um, I sort of thought this movie was just okay. The premise of this movie, the first time I saw it, I was like, this is like the movie Hitman with Glen Powell all over
Hmm.
again.
Right.
Um, so the gist of this movie is, um, you've got Bryce Dallas Howard. She's running an improv class in London. She's kind of down on her luck. She hasn't had any success in comedy or anything in a long time. So she's feeling kind of washed up. And so she's just teaching this class and she's having fun doing it, but she's just not really making ends meet or anything like that. Um, Orlando Bloom's character is, he is like a over actor. Like he thinks he's going to be the next like Pacino, De Niro. He's going into auditions for commercials with like hour-long monologues, like just way over the top. And he's trying to keep himself, you know, moving with his improv class, but he's doesn't follow the rules or pay attention. He's just so over the top. And then Nick Mohammed's character over here, um, he is kind of like your consummate loser. Like he works in like finance. And so he's in the office and there's three guys that he sees and they're talking and they're laughing and having a good old time. And he gets up and walks over there to try and fit in and just can't even get words out. Like he just can't do it. And so he just totally it makes an ass of himself. And so he sees this thing for her class that says, do you want to build your confidence, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, well, I'll go try that. So uh they're doing their thing and her class is going on and Sean Bean comes in and he sits Bryce Dallas Howard character down. He says, hey, he's like, I have an offer for you. It's like $200 per person per like mission that they do. And the only thing they have to do is like bust small time drug dealers. And the reason that they would have them do this is because uh, he says, people have a tendency to be able to smell out cops, but improvisational actors, they won't. They shouldn't be in any danger. Like they're trying to bust the first thing they do is supposed to be to bust a dude selling weed out of a convenience store, right? And so she wants to take these two students in her class that are really good, but like right when she's about to ask them, they're like, "We got picked up by an agent. We're gonna go." And so she's like, "Fuck!" And so the only people she's left with is these two idiots. And so they do it. And I have to say, like, the movie is corny. Like it is, and it's what trips me out. It's a 93% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 79% from the audience. Is like a 6.7 on IMDb. Solid ratings. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was that good. But the acting was really good. Like Bryce Dallas Howard, who I've got a little bit of a crush on, anyways. But I think she's a really solid actress. Orlando Bloom's great. Um, Nick Mohammed, this is the perfect like character for him. He's very similar to his character from Ted Lasso in the first like season. Which on one hand is kind of a bummer. Like you want to see somebody stretch themselves, but I think I've seen him in some other things, and even in Ted Lasso. By the end of that show, he's really changed. So I think it's okay. But obviously Patty Considine's great. Oh, Ian McShane is in it. He's great. Like, I mean, he's got a hell of a cast. And it's overall it's a lot of fun. Like, so they go on their first little sting mission, and of course they screw it up. They end up falling in with Patty Considine's gang, and they're like, shit, we're already in trouble. Like we're out of our element. And Sean Bean is like, he's like, yeah, but now we can catch somebody big. He's like, imagine if you are the improv actors that took down an actual drug dealer. And they're like, oh, okay. And so it just snowballs. Like the entire movie is just a snowball effect of them screwing up and getting by because they're creative enough to just stay alive, right? And I don't want to ruin the end. I don't want to ruin where it goes. Um, it's pretty formulaic. Like if you sit down and try and think about what happens, you'll probably figure it out on your own. Um, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wildly original about it. Like the thing about it is that it really is the same idea as Hitman. The one thing I'll say is that I kind of appreciate um, it doesn't waste time on romance. Like Hitman was Glen Powell and Adria Arjona, and that's great. Like that worked for that movie. It
It
worked
did.
great for that movie.
Mhm.
Um, anything that they would have done would have been forced. And the one bit of like comedic romances with Nick Mohammed's character and what's her name, Sonoya Mizuno, and it works. It's funny, but it's a quick watch too. It's only like an hour and a half. Like I think I actually started it at 10 o'clock tonight and finished it at 11:30, like right before I started getting ready to set everything up. So like I got through it real quick. And it is fun. Like if you're looking for, a simple, fun, I think it's going to be my theme tonight too, but a simple, fun, like drama with some really solid acting, some funny moments, and just fun performances from really good actors. Like, these three are all great in what they do, but I think some of the most fun stuff really comes from Patty Considine. Um, Sean Bean is different than I usually see him. He finally looks kind of old too, which is crazy because I feel like Lord of the Rings was what 25 years ago now, and for the
Yes.
longest time he kind of just looked the same. Like he did
Yes.
Game of Thrones and he still looked the same.
Yes.
In this one he finally looks a little old, which is fine. I mean, he's got to be 65, 70. So he's no spring chicken anymore.
You.
Um, and so he's great. And
66. You were
okay,
like 1 year off. That's
yeah.
crazy.
And then Ian McShane is Ian McShane. He gets super like I don't know what his accent. I don't know if it's Irish, Scottish, or somewhere in between, or Welsh or something. But he's got a thick accent in this one. Um, but they're all great. It's a lot of fun. It really is. It's a fun movie. I wouldn't call it a great movie, despite the fact that the reviews seem to say that it's better than I would have expected. But um, yeah, I'd say if you're out there looking for something fun to watch, maybe if you're sitting there like as a couple and you want to watch it, like there's nothing bad about it. It's not overly violent. It's not dirty. I think if this were on like in the theater, I think it'd only be PG-13 maybe. It could even probably pass it PG, maybe PG. It says R actually on Rotten Tomatoes, but I can't think of why. They must have too many F bombs. Is the only thing I can think of. Um, but otherwise, yeah, otherwise it's not inappropriate at all, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you got Prime and you're looking for something to watch, to be honest, like this is kind of that time. Through like July, I feel like there's just not a lot out there, and so this is a good time to find something like this and give it a watch.
Word up.
So, all right, so going from people who can't get their shit together to somebody who couldn't get their shit together, you watched a documentary about the what was it called? Astroworld?
Astroworld. I actually went online because I wanted to see what this documentary made it on Rotten Tomatoes, and what that search actually uncovered for me was that apparently Trainwreck, the Woodstock '99 documentary that was 3 episodes in 2022, which was great, did so well that the Trainwreck uh like it has its own series now. So this is episode 1 of 7 episodes that are going to air basically this summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like apparently there's like the mayor of mayhem. So this guy named Rob Ford, who was like Trump light in Ontario, Canada. It was a mayor. When
Hmm.
he gets mayor.
That sounds
Then there's a
familiar, actually.
poop cruise, which is hilarious.
Oh,
Like
I've
I
heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's episode 3. Then there's the cult of American Apparel. Apparently, American Apparel got into some really scandalous stuff.
Do they
Then
really?
there's like a Project X. I have no idea what it's about. Then there's Balloon Boy. Yo, that reminds me of a joke. I don't know if you remember Balloon Boy. There was a kid basically where like this balloon was built in the backyard of someone, some suburban
Yeah, like
family.
the Bubble Boy.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, and the balloon went up in the air, and everyone thought that the balloon, like the boy was on that balloon, but and there was a big search and
I
everything. But
do
it
remember
turns out,
that.
it turns out the boy was on the ground the whole time,
Like in a
and
treehouse or some shit like that.
right, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
This is 2009, and the terrible joke was they said with Balloon Boy, they thought that for a second there, they thought Michael Jackson was ordering takeout from heaven. But anyway, terrible, terrible, terrible joke.
Oh, damn. I didn't say it, everybody. FBI, if
No.
you're listening, it wasn't me. It was not me.
What was that guy from NBC who To Catch a Predator or whatever? Like
Yeah.
he's like showing up now. Anyway, it's a terrible joke. And then PI Moms is next. So anyway, and there's another one, Storm Area 51. Oh yeah, they tried to storm Area 51.
I
Anyway, so this
remember
is
that.
gonna
That
be
was a joke.
a great Naruto run. It's gonna be a great one. But no,
I
we're gonna
remember that.
go talk about the Astroworld Tragedy. So I'll start by saying, first of all, I love concerts, so much so that I moved to Las Vegas specifically because I went to a show called Lovers and Friends, the
Hmm.
Lovers and
I
Friends
remember that.
Festival, which is a lot like Astroworld in that it's this big festival like Woodstock, where it's just on these festival grounds. There's multiple stages, there's booths, there's people. It was amazing. I had such a great time. Okay. Now, in 2024, last year, literally the night before the third Lovers and Friends Festival at 10 o'clock at night, me and my girlfriend are at the hotel. I get a text message and it says, "We are sorry to say we are canceling the show due to high winds." And I remember thinking to myself, that sucks because it wasn't even like it was like in like 12 hours the concert was going to start and they had to cancel it, and it was a bummer. But I bring all of that up to say, after seeing this Astro World documentary, I am glad they did it, because had they not done it, set up the stages, and the wind collapses stages on people, it would have been a nightmare. So for those of you who are not familiar with what happened, in 2021, I think it was Astro World 3. Yes. So Travis Scott, for all the adults like us out there, is a big deal, apparently, with Gen Z
Mhm.
primarily. Major rapper from Houston. And honestly, he looks a lot like A$AP Rocky, but that's another story. If you feel like finding A$AP Rocky and Travis Scott and putting them together, do it because they look like fucking clones, pardon my French. But anyway, Travis Scott is like the man. And he is known for really getting the crowds to go nuts. Like when he's on stage and he's like rapping, people are mosh pitting, they're losing their ish, they're tearing things down. He's got a lot of charisma, okay? To the
Yep.
point where I think at not Woodstock, Lollapalooza in Chicago in 2015, he got in trouble for inciting like a riot or something, okay?
Yep.
So that said, 20 Astroworld was also an amusement park in Houston that closed down. He wanted to bring it back. So 2018 Astroworld 1, awesome. 2019 Astroworld 2, awesome. 2020 COVID, nothing. Astroworld was a one-day festival. 2021 November, Astroworld is back. It's going to be 2 days. It's going to have all these artists. Everyone's excited. And the documentary starts with all these people just talking about kids, like high school kids, talking about how excited they are. They really set up the whole thing about how much of a badass, what's his name, Travis Scott is, and then how they really tried to hype up, even in the marketing, like how this is going to be crazy, and we're going to break down the barricades and blah, blah, whatever. So you're getting to know these people. You're getting to know how excited they were, how like it's really good like testimonials from like this photographer who worked for Live Nation. And oh, wait, Live Nation. Live
Hmm.
Nation's the promoter, and they definitely come off by the end of this as like the evil corporate people, not care about the lives of what was
But
happening.
they're the ones that don't they do like events in movie theaters too? Don't they
Uh,
have like I would have sworn that they were the ones behind some of the
no,
like
no, I know
concerts.
what you're talking about, and it's going to come to me, but I know what you're talking about. They don't do those.
There's
I
not
know what
Live
you're
Nation.
talking
Okay.
about. Yeah, yeah. No, Live Nation is basically, but they're behind everything. They own the music industry. And so this photographer was like, I know I'm jeopardizing my career by talking to you guys right now, but it's got to be told. Um, I shouldn't even mention this, but I'll just mention it anyway because I just think it's kind of cool. It's Houston, so it is a heavily like Hispanic demographic.
Hmm.
Like that's pretty much all the kids who are going to this thing. And to me, I thought that was just kind of cool because like it's just cool to see this is America. Like this is the new America, and this is who. And Travis Scott is a black rapper, obviously, but people don't care. It's just all about we're all coming together to have a great time. Okay. Now, you get to know each one of these kids. Like it's three kids like are talking and anyways, maybe I'm talking too much, but I really I got a sense for who they were and I liked their honesty and their reality. I will also say though that as I watched, I definitely felt like that get off my lawn energy going on in my own brain because I was like, these kids, this is music. Like I'm like what? Like why are you going to see like N-word here, N-word there? Like it's just it's basically like Prodigy. It's like hip hop Prodigy. Remember Prodigy from
Oh
like
yeah.
yeah, it's like hip hop Prodigy basically. And I'm like, this is just noise. But anyway, they're loving it. This
Mm.
one woman just graduated from like nursing school and flew out from LA just to go to this show. Anyhow, I think I'm doing a little bit too much exposition here, but I just really want to just set the stage. They sell 50,000 tickets. 50,000. And it comes out in the documentary that the stage where the tragedy happens could at best maybe hold 25, 35,000, right? So you already know that. Um, the concert's starting. I really don't want to miss anything. The concert's going on and already and like the stage was set up where there was like a left side and a right side and the oh I remember what I was going to say before even that happened because the commercials and the Caesars showed the people busting down the barricade and just rushing the concert. That's exactly what happened. So there are people who didn't even pay a ticket who got in. So now you have no idea how many people are actually at the show. Like, so you already have too many people in there. The concert's starting, and there's a left side of the stage, the right side of the stage, and the entryway to the left side of the stage is this way. So what happened is on the left side, there's this crush zone where anybody who's on the left side of the stage is getting crushed by all the people who are trying to rush in. People can't breathe, and it's like it's getting scary quickly. Now, many of the people who were talking at this point are talking about what they did, what they went through. And one of my favorite moments of the documentary, frankly, was this one kid actually, after he gets rescued, he then tries to climb up on one of the cameramen, like on one of the podiums at the concert, and he's yelling, "Stop the show! Stop this show!" People and like and someone and like they're telling him to get down, and then someone else jumps on, and I'm just like, yeah, that's right, man. Like you go, like you are really trying to help stop this. And then every time Travis Scott is like between songs, the crowd is yelling, "Stop the show! Stop the show!" He's not stopping. One of my favorite like lines from it is this other guy who gets called in after the tragedy to kind of like investigate and just he's basically like this like the I forget what it's called, but like when after a plane crash, like there's the government body who goes in and investigates. That's
Yeah.
what anyway, they found a text, and a text between Live Nation people said Travis Scott, stage right of main is getting crushed. This is bad. Um, pull tons people pull tons over the rail unconscious. People are basically being pulled out unconscious. There's panic in people's eyes. This could get worse quickly. I would pull the plug, but that's just me. I know they'll try to fight it though, but I would want it on the record that I didn't advise this to continue. Someone's going to end up dead. And that text was at 9 p.m. And that was actually before the concert even started. The concert went until 10:13. So for an hour and 13 minutes, people are getting crushed. They cannot breathe. And by the end of the show, 10 people were dead. 10. 10. Okay. Woodstock 99, I don't think anybody died. Maybe one. But like it was just lots of fires and unfortunately a lot of sexual assaults. But here, people died. And it's like you're hearing people talk about there was four guys who went together, only three came out, and that's sad. There was a guy who went with his girlfriend and her friend. Him and her survived. The friend didn't make it. They're describing all the aftermaths. And in the meantime, Travis is like he's performing. He stops at one point to let somebody like kind of get help, but that was it and just kept going. And the craziest part about it all, it was almost like a greed thing because so many people were basically saying stop the show, and it was only two people who had the power to stop the show, and one of them couldn't be found. And basically the guy who did the investigation was like, this was a failure on so many levels, and someone just needed to take control and stop it and speak truth to power, whatever. And it's just, I would just say, and another thing I'll say is the kids, for me at least, because I'm older, they went from vapid and like just like totally like, sort of party, yeah, Travis Scott, to like actually having like depth. And one of the most touching moments for me was there was a kid who said, I went to the front of the stage and camped out. And then you don't hear anything from out him again. Then the nursing person, when she gets out, she says, I'm a nurse. I need to help people. She sees somebody on the ground, this is going, and he doesn't have a pulse, really. It's really faint. She rubs on his sternum, and eventually he does come to life. And yes, it was the kid who went to the front of the stage in the beginning to just kind of camp out. And now they're like lifelong friends. Like she saved his life. So there's just so many moments of like, and again, I think the difference between this documentary and Woodstock 99 was all the cell phone footage that you have now that
Mhm.
you're able to see the crushing. And man, so I don't think there's a concert on in the universe that's worth dying for. And I
Oh.
think that 10 people is a hell of a death toll. And the craziest part about it is no one was found criminally responsible. Do I think there's going to be a backlash now because of this documentary? Hell yeah. Um, I I just can't imagine. Like if I was like the level of negligence is insane. Um, so yeah, I'll end my monologue by saying again, like I said in the beginning, even though it sucks that Lovers and Friends won't happen again, and that is by Live Nation, by the way, I think Live Nation learned their lesson, and they will not. At least I don't think they'll do this again because this was an epic F up. And I think the craziest part about it is I don't think Travis Scott really took that big of a hit. Yes, he did take a hit immediately after, but I think people
Mhm.
for the most part have forgotten it. But I do think this doc is going to hurt him again.
Yeah, it might. I know at one point he was like such a big deal. They did a Travis Scott concert in Fortnite, so you could just log into Fortnite and watch the concert in the game. And I don't know how that works, but yeah, dude was a big deal. Like I can't name a single song he's done. I don't know anything from him, but
I
he was
know
a big
one
deal.
song by him, dude. I know one song by him, and it's called "Sicko Mode." And I only know it because when me and Sony went dancing in Vegas, I heard a song, and I'm that guy who will pull out his phone and Shazam it. And I'm like, okay, I like this one. This one's okay. Sicko Mode, and it's actually ironically off his 2018 Astroworld album, but the rest of it, eh. And then also, one of Sony's cousins, her kids wanted to go to a Travis Scott concert. I don't know if they ended up going, but I remember she was mad worried. Like she was like, no, and she might have actually just said no. And you could see like the pleading in their eyes, and I felt bad for him, man, because I know what it's like to want to go to a show and like when you're in high school. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I shed tears over Janet. I ended up going, but like I remember I had to shed tears to be able to get the tickets
Yeah.
because like that's how bad I wanted to go.
Yeah, I think the only concert I remember taking my daughter to was One Direction. Like she was able to get tickets to One Direction. This was 10 years ago, something like that.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, it's weird. It's a trip. Like concerts are a big deal, but they like y hockey used to be the one that was dangerous because hockey games, because the ice, if the puck comes off the ice, it comes flying off the ice. So the entire stadium is surrounded by glass. And there was, I forget when it was, but there was games where people would start to push up against the glass. Same problem, same exact problem. People would get pressed up against the glass, and people died in the hockey game more than once because it was just like they were getting mobbed and there's nowhere to go. Like at least in like football and baseball, you start to push down towards the field, you have a field to run onto. Like there's nothing stopping you. But with hockey, because it's all about the safety, you've got the glass up there. It was like the people died at hockey games for basically the exact same reason. You get crushed up against the glass because they couldn't get out. And yeah, it's just trippy. Anything in a stadium is potentially scary. Like anything can go sideways. It Outdoor venues are sometimes a little less scary, but
But that's just the thing. This was an outdoor venue.
yeah,
So like I feel like I think it's festivals that you have to worry about the
yeah,
most. Just because there's so many people. I
yeah. They're
remember
wildly unregulated too. Yeah,
yeah, like I saw Nine Inch Nails and I remember being like in an ocean of people and like, I just remember whatever you do, stay on your feet. Like
yep,
that's it, not fall
yep,
down. Um and it's just crazy because like there was just so many people and they were all have the whole right side of the stage was just having a blast. They had no idea what was happening on the left side. It's 10 is a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. We
And
even
not
if
to
you
mention
put
all
it
the
up
injuries.
against the number, yeah. I mean, 50,000 people, still 10 people shouldn't,
Yeah.
die from that. Like at any given show, somebody could just have a heart attack.
Yeah, that's one
It
thing.
would suck, like if somebody dies at a concert from a heart attack, anything like that. But like if it's because of something that was preventable, like that's bad. That's really bad. And so it's unfortunate that happened.
And I do remember too, actually at Lovers and Friends, because I was there all damn day in like the 100+ degree heat. You know, I remember towards the end, I started to get woozy. And I
Hmm.
remember like leaving during Usher's set, which was an amazing set, by the way. It was sucked. I had to leave. I literally, and I, again, I think I may have told the story before. I was feeling so woozy. There must have been something on my face because I started making my way to the edge and people were just getting out of my way like a hot knife through butter. I was like they were trying like I'm not trying to get puked on. And I get there and I'm just like and the security's like they point and they literally and they're telling people like help him out. And it was I think I told you it was literally like the Michael Jackson shit. Like I was literally lifted up by a whole crowd, like crowd surfing, and lifted up over the barricade and into like the, just. And I just remember
Hmm.
the first thing I remember, I was like, like I couldn't breathe. It was just
Yeah,
like I just feel like when you're in that crowd, the oxygen just even immediately around you is
yeah,
depleted.
yeah,
I was gonna faint.
yeah. I remember I went to not even close to the same thing, but I went to the BB King Jazz Festival when, I mean, BB must have been 80 something, sitting on a stool. All I could do was play guitar. Funny enough, like we talked about before, I think Buddy Guy was there,
Nice.
and some other people. But this was at is the Concord Pavilion, the outdoor one with
Yes.
the grass, and so
Yes.
it was full. A lot of generally an older crowd. Like I was one of the younger ones there for sure. Um, and even that, like there was room. Like people were sitting on blankets. Like there was a lot of room. But well, number one, people start smoking weed. Even the old people, they love their weed. So like the air is kind of taken up by that, and then everybody's closer, and then it's California, so everything's dry and hot, and just yeah, it gets hard to breathe the more people you're around. And I think I saw Incubus at Concord. No, I saw at the Greek Theater. And it's still like it doesn't matter if it's indoor or outdoor. Like when it starts to get tight, yeah, that air just somehow gets sucked out, and it's crazy. And the heat does not help.
I remember I was nauseous and I had to sit down for a good hour. And then I came back to life around when the Fugees were on. But I was nowhere near the crowd. I was just in the VIP at that point because a friend of mine had a VIP and we just did like a little bracelets. Like we figured it out. But I got there and I was just kind of like, whew, because for a while there, and I'm like, dude, Andrew, you're not that old. Like, what the hell? Like, but it was like, you're not immortal, dude. Like that was it was a weird feeling, dude. I was literally, it was like I saw like, like when like, it starts to close in, like
Uh-huh.
I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, that seems like something that only happens in the movies, but no, that shit's real.
yes.
Like tunnel vision when you start to like, yeah. Yeah, it's 100% real. And yeah, and just anything heat related, anything that knocks you down like that stuff sucks. So, yeah, you gotta
Anyway,
take care
go
of
see
yourself.
it, man, and let's and watch I mean, those other episodes, I'm definitely gonna watch, especially the poop cruise. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised they're not doing one about Fire Festival. Maybe there was already too
Oh, that's
many.
already happened, or maybe like there was a
Somebody else did it.
fire festival, like yeah, but so I think
Yeah.
that was on Netflix too. That was great.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget. Yo, the funniest line in that whole thing was when Ja Rule, during like a staff meeting after it happened, he's talking to his staff, and the staff was said, uh, we could be, people are going to look at this as fraud. And then Ja Rule is like, "Well, I'm going to stop you right there. It's not fraud. That's not fraud. It's like deceptive advertising. This is not fraud." And I'm just laughing. Like in my bed, I'm like watching this and like, did he really, dude? Did you just really say it's deceptive advertising, but it's not fraud? Like, yo, and it's his voice. You know how Ja Rule talks. I can't
Yeah,
do his
yeah.
voice. It was just funny to me, dude.
He
Like,
Bill Clinton that shit. He's like, it depends on what your definition of is, man. Like, what are you gonna
it's
do?
like I did not have sexual activity with that woman, even though sticking a cigar up her cooters is like what? That's sexual activity, dude. Anyway, but like
Yeah.
deceptive advertising. Like I just love the denial.
The
The
spin, man.
denial, dude.
The spin.
Anyhow.
All right, cool. Well, was that on Netflix?
Yes.
All
I
right.
think it just dropped like maybe 3 days ago.
Yeah,
So
that sounds right. Um, cool. Well, sticking with Netflix, um, the show FUBAR is back. It came back this week. I didn't even know. Like I was trying to figure out what I was going to watch coming into the week because I had a busy week, so I didn't watch much during the week. And all of a sudden, it was like new episodes, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And for anybody that doesn't know, number one, the first season, again, much like Deep Cover, the show is just fun. It is not brilliant. It's not reinventing the wheel. This is a spy show that is absolutely like the antithesis of Mission Impossible, right? Like this is Arnold Schwarzenegger like in his old age embracing the humor of his career, right? Like he was an action star. There's just no way his old ass can be an action star anymore. And so this show, in the first season, he's a spy. He's an old spy. He's kind of on his way out. His daughter got recruited into being a spy, played by Monica Barrero, who is beautiful. I think she
he
uh,
is.
she she could be a wild card for a Wonder Woman spot if somebody was like thinking outside the box a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but she's his daughter, and I can't remember now. I already can't remember if in the first season at first if she knows he's a spy or not. I know at least growing up she didn't know he was a spy. Um, but
Sorry, by the way, Andrew Garfield apparently banged her, dude. Like they're dating.
oh, is that who she? I knew she was dating
Good for
somebody.
you,
Yeah, that actually
Garfield.
seems like a would be a fun relationship too. Like the more I see of Andrew Garfield, the more I like him. When they were doing press for the movie that he did with Florence Pugh, and she
Mhm.
couldn't make it, he showed up to the red carpet with a cardboard cutout of Florence Pugh, and went
That's awesome.
everywhere with it. It was great. It was awesome. But it was so Fubar is she finds out that her dad is a spy. She ultimately ends up having to work under him. There's this whole season long arc where she has a boyfriend who's super nerdy, like super, super, super dorky. Like they're engaged. I don't think they're married. She ends up on a mission with this dude who is like super dreamy. they have their chemistry, they end up kissing that stuff, and so that stuff goes all crazy. Well, they in the first season they finish their mission, but the way that it ends, they all have to go into hiding, and they have to take everybody that's kind of surrounded with them. That includes Schwarzenegger's ex-wife, who he started to reconnect with in the first season, her now ex-husband or boyfriend who got tied up in everything, so he has to live with them. So they're all in the safe house. So you've got Schwarzenegger, his ex-wife, who he's starting, getting back together with, her husband or whatever he was. They were together when the first season started, so like they just broke up, but they're having to live together. You've got Monica Barrero's character, the pretty handsome dude that she hooked up with, along with her nerdy boyfriend, is in there. Fortune Feimster is in there, who's hilarious. I love her, and she is like best friends with the Dreamboaty guy, and they're all crammed into this house while they're trying to, kind of wait out their, staying on hold. But they end up on another mission, as one does in spy movies. And I'm only halfway through this season, but I can't remember if she was in the first season, but Carrie Ann Moss is in the second season. She is a villain that who had a romantic past with Schwarzenegger's character. I think he was after he left his wife. I think so. There was a time difference, or no, it was before he met his wife, and that comes into play during this season. And so, you know, after that, it's just kind of like a spy hijinks thing. Like they go on a mission, they sort of succeed, but they sort of fail. Move on to the next thing where they sort of succeed and sort of fail, and it moves forward. But it really is a lot of fun. The dialogue, the banter and stuff is all really great. Like I said, Schwarzenegger has really accepted who he is. At this point in his career, he he does his "I'll be back" line totally tongue in cheek. Like he's like, "I'll be back," and he's like, and he waits a second. He's like, "In like 20 minutes, I have to do this." Like something like it's hilarious. And so all of this stuff is super to like the whole thing is super tongue in cheek. Like that they're not taking themselves seriously. So as long as you sit down for that, it's a great show. If you are really looking for something that is like a spy show and dramatic, go watch Alias. Like go watch something that at least tries to take itself seriously, because this absolutely does not. Um, and in this one, while Monica Barrero is dealing with, she's basically done with her ex-boyfriend, but he's living there. The handsome guy is like into her, while she's kind of pushed him away. And now there's some British villain that is trying to woo her, and he's hilarious. Like some of his dialogue is absolutely fantastic, and he's super funny. And so now, like this super handsome dude is super jealous, like the ex-boyfriend was, and it's just a lot of fun. And then there's another kid that's in it. I wish I could remember his name, but he's funny. But they call him Uncle Barry, which is hilarious because he's like a young black guy that's probably the same age as her,
Milan Carter?
maybe.
Barry? Yeah, Milan Carter. I'm
Yeah,
looking at the cast
yeah.
right now.
She calls him Uncle Barry, and he's like the same age as her, which is hilarious. And then his girlfriend is played by shoot, I can't remember her name, but she was in
Stephanie Sy?
no,
Yeah, I'm just looking
she's
at.
Middle Eastern.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh, Arparna Brielle.
yeah,
Okay.
part of Brielle. Yeah, yeah, she was in AP Bio on NBC, I think it was, which was hilarious. That show was totally wrong. A lot of fun, but she was a teenager in that, and so she's playing a little older here. But she's pretty good. It's just, it really is. It's a lot of fun. Like it's fun to watch. I think Andrew and I both said the same thing or sorry, Andy and I said the same thing in the group chat, and just like it's not good. Like it's not a show that you're watching for high drama, but if you want a good time, it really is that. Like especially, I think maybe it appeals to our demographic a little more because of that Schwarzenegger bit, right? Like him being this character draws us in from our childhood when he was like the shit, right? Like from like 1989 till like 2000, the guy was just running the world. And he he's he really is. He's a funny guy. Like he does the funny stuff really well, the doofy stuff. There's a scene where he's trying to figure out he got drugged and he can't figure out why. And he literally bends over in front of this dude and drops his pants. He's like, "How many needle marks are back there?" And he's got his ass in this guy's face. Is hilarious because uh everybody's asleep when he's doing it. And they start to wake up, and there's so you got the handsome guy and you got Fortune Feimster, and she starts just slapping the dude, and she's like, dude, your dream is happening. Like it's hilarious. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I haven't finished the season, so I don't know what's going to happen exactly. But if you haven't seen the first season, I'd say go watch it. Get ready for the second season. I feel like the first season was a little better than the second season. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being the last season. It's kind of a concept that is sort of tough to push, but if they do another one, as long as they have fun with it, it'll be fun. So it's a good one to watch. So
Your story about how Arnold, kind of tongue in cheeks his "I'll be back" reminded me of something that I ran across recently. Apparently, um, Arnold wanted to say "I will be back" because he felt like that was going to be like
more robotic.
exactly. And then basically it actually turned into a bit of a thing with Cameron. And Cameron ultimately finally said, "Did you write this?" As in, like, are you the screenwriter? And Arnold's like, "No." So he's like, "Well, then don't tell me a effing right," basically. Like, it's like he forced Arnold to say it,
That
"I'll be
sounds like a
back."
James Cameron thing too.
Yes. And they're both INTJs actually, so it's
Yeah.
pretty funny. It's like, but like I think in Arnold being an INTJ is like, you know what? Well, hey, he's right. Like he's the one who's writing it, so I guess I'll say the line. And it's hilarious how that became
He,
like
his thing. Yeah, he has owned it ever since. It's in every single movie, all the time. Like I don't know why that's the line that stuck. You
yeah.
know, like I guess he didn't have that many lines in Terminator, but he didn't have a ton of dialogue. Um, but yeah,
And that
it's
was before Commando. Did you ever watch Commando? Have you seen that one?
I
Because if you
feel like I
haven't,
have, but I don't remember anything about it.
it's Joe Commando, like it's underrated, and anyone who's watching who knows me, like, dude, some of the best lines, like that was literally like Mick Bain from The Simpsons, like they're
Yeah,
totally that's all Commando, dude. Like he's dead tired, like because the guy's dead, or like I let him go, like or then he goes like I thought you said you'd kill me last. I lied. Like there's just so many great lines.
that comes up in this show. So there's a scene where Carrie Ann Moss is kind of like sort of interrogating him, and then they kind of
Uh,
sit down and they start reminiscing instead about their past, and they start talking about how they're getting too old for this, right? Like they're too old, and he's like sometimes I can't even come up with a witty comeback anymore, and she's like, but that's your thing. Like it's so funny.
so
Like
sorry.
yeah, it's exactly that. Like it's just it pokes fun in little ways at his career, but in a way that isn't like totally in your face.
That makes me want to watch it. I will say right now, like there's certain like celebrities I know I will be sad, like really sad when they go.
Yeah.
Shaq is one of them,
Hmm.
and Schwarzenegger is one of them. It'll be
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, to be fair, like he has done a lot. He's done a lot in his life and his career. He's done some really great movies. He turned his career around. Like, I mean, he came to the U.S. like his whole story of coming to the U.S. is a trip, and then like he did Hercules in New York, where I don't even think he had dialogue. And then, you've got Terminator, you've got all these films that he did that were hardcore, like action, and he wasn't supposed to be funny. And then he realized he was funny. And then you had stuff like Twins, where he's Danny, like, and he's great in that. Like, he's so good in that Kindergarten Cop. Like, all of a sudden, he's funny instead of an action star, but he still looks like he could throw a house at
not
you.
a tumor. And then the one where he got pregnant. Do you remember
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but that one was crazy.
Yeah. I
Like
can't remember that one either. But yeah. Yeah.
my
Um,
baby. Like
Yeah,
it's funny.
and then and then he takes a break. He's governor of California, uh, and then starts to get back into acting and do his stuff, and he's just found ways to kind of reinvent himself and have a good time.
One film I have not seen, and every time I tried to go see it, it was not on streaming, but I'm sure it's on now. And I'm going to lose all credibility when I tell people I haven't seen it. I never saw True Lies. And I know everyone
Oh,
talks about that one being like a classic, like him and Jamie Lee Curtis. Um, but yeah, that was probably his last like really big hit, I think.
well, True Lies just got a remake,
No way.
either a series or yeah, it was a show in 2023. Might be on Prime. You might not even be able to find it, but
I
yeah, it
see it. You're
was,
right. But it was canceled after one season. Good.
yeah, which is
It was
not
on
surprising.
CBS.
It sounds like a terrible idea, especially for regular
Yeah.
television. But
Where are you going?
to be fair, it does not look like it's streaming anywhere right now. You'd have to rent it.
The
Uh,
movie, right?
yeah,
Yeah, what's up with that? Like, what the every time. But one day I will watch True Lies. That's all I gotta say.
it was actually it might be on Hulu or HBO right now. It might be on Hulu or HBO. It is actually a lot of fun. Now it may or may not hold up because as old as it is, um, but it really was fun. It was a good one. He again, this is one that plays into the action
Yeah.
comedy bit.
Yep. Hulu. You're right. I got
Yeah,
Hulu. Good. Commando's on here too, looks like. Dude, I'm telling yeah, it's a long time ago, but that one is a classic. Oh,
yeah.
Alyssa Milano's in that one too. Blow off some steam, Bennett. Like, I'm just like, there's just so many good lines. Like, oh,
Yeah. Well, going back to
that's
our
fun.
conversation about Predator, Hulu has jumped on board with that. They have all of the Alien films, all of the Predator films right now. Apparently, there might be grabbing Schwarzenegger's library too. They've got a lot of good stuff on there if that's your jam. It's a good time to go back, like I said, because the summer is like theatrical movies and whatever you can find on streaming, but there tends to be less new stuff at home over the summer, unless you're a reality TV person. That's kind of like the big deal there. Um, but yeah, I would definitely say like if you've got a little time, or if you've got Hulu and you have it on your device, you can download films. You should download it for your next plane trip
Or
and watch it on the plane. Because it is fun, and I think they're both good at comedy. Like I think Jamie Lee Curtis is she's such like a Jill of all trades, right? Like I think me and Lauren talked about it when we were talking about the last showgirl, how Pam Anderson had a really hard time being able to reinvent herself because she was beautiful. Everybody said you're so pretty, you can only be a pretty character, you can't act, and nobody knew she could act. Like it was something that wasn't expected from her. So when she finally did the last showgirl, people were like, "Oh shit!" Like she got Oscar nominated for this part. But Jamie Lee Curtis, who has been, sexy in some stuff and otherwise, but she's not drop dead gorgeous. And so she has been able to age gracefully. She can play the mom from The Bear. She can play, pure comedy. She can be in like the body switching one, the
Freaky
parent,
Friday.
not a parent, Freaky Friday. Like, I mean, she can do it all because,
Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was
yeah,
like
like she can just be all
what the
over the
Oscar
place
for
because
that.
she's not
Yeah.
bookended into this thing. Like, it's like Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep can do anything she wants. She was allowed to age gracefully. She's a phenomenal actress, so she can play any part. You know, it's just kind of a funny world where if you look a certain way, you're expected to only do that thing. And to be fair, that was Arnold's career too. Like he had to force these other things to work. And my male counterpart to Pam Anderson, the conversation was Dave Batista. He lost a bunch of weight because he was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and people freaked out. Like he was still fucking buff, but he was in a suit, and all of a sudden he looked way smaller, and people were like, "Oh my God, he's dying." And I'm like, the dude could still pick me up with one arm, like he's still strong. He's just not a monstrosity anymore. And like, but like, he is a guy that is like, I want to act. He's like, I really want to be an actor. Like, he doesn't want to fall into like the John Cena bit, where John Cena's hilarious, but like he's kind of really niche. He's great in the Peacemaker. Like I'm stoked for Peacemaker season two. Absolutely fantastic. But I think Dave Bautista really wants to do really truly dramatic work, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
But he had to fight for that, because everybody saw him as unfortunately was great as Drax. So you've got to push yourself out of that, or you'll never get out of it. So,
Yes.
but
Speaking of summer, you reminded me, I was like, I know there's something coming back this summer, and I remember now, and it was Squid Games
oh yeah,
season
that's like
3.
next 2 weeks, the 24th,
Yeah,
right?
something like that. Either way, like end of June. So I'm hyped. I'm
Is that
ready.
one split up though, or is
No,
it all at once?
I think it's all at once.
Okay,
So it's
yeah.
just gonna be like, yeah, it's great. I gotta move and watch Squid Game. Oh,
Yeah, I'm stoked for that one. That'll be a lot of fun. I feel like there's one or two other things that are coming back this month that looked kind of fun. But generally speaking, yeah, this is a harder time of year to find a bunch of stuff to watch.
I
But
know you have one more thing you got to bring up really quick, but I'm wondering, did you see the trailer for the new like for Black Phone 2? Have you seen that trailer
I have
yet?
not watched it at all.
Okay.
Um,
Well, basically, it's he's like the new Freddy Krueger now. Like he's supernatural.
See, I don't know how I feel about that. Like that was actually the part of the movie that the
You
original
like?
that I was like, uh, like if they could have left that like, oh, he's crazy, or
Yes.
he's losing himself in the basement, and that's why he's. Um, but as soon as it becomes like really supernatural, I'm like, it loses some of that magic because like, if this dude is real, that means this situation could be real, and that is scary. Like that's
Right.
terrifying. As soon as it becomes not real, like I think that's one of the things that made Longlegs good for as much of the film as it was, is that like as creepy as balls that somebody could be out there that's this crazy, they start to kind of make it a little supernatural by the end. But it works okay. It's kind of more metaphorical. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Like I really liked Black Phone, so I will at least see Black Phone 2 when it streams. Um, unless it just gets absolutely bashed, unless it gets slammed. But to be fair, if it gets absolutely destroyed, that'll actually kind of make me more interested. But um, yeah, I'm curious enough about it. Like I definitely want to see it, and I actually expect it to be good, even if they go that route, um, because the first one was so good. Like it really was.
Yeah, Ethan is really leaning into this. Like he's now the villain, and I think that like it's still the same kid, but he's older and
Yeah,
he's
that's I
like
did see
changing
that. Like it seemed like it was the same character. I didn't see the
the
trailer, but I
girl.
saw like a
Oh,
picture from the trailer,
okay.
and like I was like, oh shit, it's still the same guy.
Yeah, so I'm like I'm ready. Like I'm actually like because now I feel like the first Black Phone is like an origin story, if
Yeah,
or like how like in Friday the 13th, I think Jason's actually no, it's his mom. But either way, the first Friday the 13th, it's not like zombie Jason. It's
yeah,
just like I like that. Like we're seeing the beginning of a new horror franchise.
yeah. It was yeah. Halloween was like that too. The first Mike Myers was he was just a crazy motherfucker that escaped from a mental hospital. Like he's just a scary dude in a William
Yeah.
Shatner mask. And to me, that makes both of those films scarier than Friday the 13th because they're sort of real.
The last thing I keep saying the last thing is like I remember I've only had one slasher dream, but let me tell you, dude, I was shocked by how terrified it was. It was literally I was in a college dorm and people were getting like slashed up and I'm just like I am not dude, I don't even have like I'm telling you guys way too much about myself, but I don't even have not knives, dude. Like I do not own big ass knives in my place. I just as a rule, I just don't because I know what they can do. And like, so when I move in with Saloni, it's gonna be like, okay, we have knives again. But anyway, but like, so just the idea of just getting hacked to death, like, it's just like, ugh. And the dream was, I just remember like, I'm supernatural all day. Like that's what I do not like. Demons and Satan, I'm good. But I was
You're Candace
surprised.
Cameron, man.
What's up?
Said you're Candace Cameron. You can't watch them. It's a portal to hell.
Dude, okay, first of all, the comments on that post were hilarious. But
Yes.
you will notice though, you will notice I didn't do shit, dude. I didn't react.
You're like, breach, Candace, breach.
I'm just like backing up in case there's a lightning bolt. No, but like, yeah, I'm not ruling it out. That's all. I shouldn't even say it like that. I'm just saying, like, yes, it's ridiculous, but I'm not going to be the one who says, "Oh, it's like, I'm just, just in case that's partly true." I'm just going to have a healthy distance. That's all I'm going to do. Anyway,
Yeah.
I've already said too much.
Yeah, that one got me. I was dying. I was like, girl, you need to take a deep breath. You need to chill. It's television. And if
Yes.
TV's a portal to hell, then we're all fucked anyways, because you were on it. Don't forget that part. Like,
Remember, but Kirk Cameron was starting to
uh,
call Growing Pains pornographic. That's crazy to me. Like, that's how deep those guys are. Like, you can't.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of crazy over there in that Cameron family. And I thought for a while, I thought she was like not quite as in it. And then she said that, and I was like, oh no, you are
She's
crazy. I was like, so go back and do a Hallmark movie and just,
Yes.
open a
Smooth it
portal,
over.
open a
Yeah.
portal to my heart through your TV. But yeah, whatever. So, all right. Yeah. So I don't have anything that I watched anymore. So, so today I spent a lot of time with my middle son in the car today and we were talking, he started playing the Last of Us games, which he had never played.
Nice.
Always said he wouldn't play them. He was like, he's got another game, God of War, that he loves. That's his number one game of all time. It's a great game. I can't fault him for that. Um, and I think they're still trying to turn it into a TV series somewhere.
Huh.
And it would be a really interesting series. That one is all about Kratos as the God of War. In the first game, he goes and kills all of the gods in Greek mythology,
Wow.
like because his wife and child are killed and he blames them and he goes batshit crazy and kills them all. Like that's the whole point of the game. And that story has matured over time. And the last two God of War games, God of War and God of War Ragnarok, were incredible, just absolutely incredible. Um, but I've always said Last of Us is my favorite game. And so he played the first one and then he immediately started playing the second one. And two things happened. Number one, he's like, you're right. He's like, those might be the best games I've ever played, which is
Nice.
impressive because my son is very uh, adamant. He's very obstinate. He's a pain in the ass. I love the kid, but he's very opinionated. The other opinion that he had before playing the games and even really before watching the series was fuck Abby. He's like Joel and Ellie all day. He's like hell no. And I
Uh,
won't spoil anything, but
yes.
they I can say this now because they've already announced that Abby is the main character for season three. Caitlin Deaver is your main character for season three, which was expected by anybody that knows the games. I could have told anybody that. Like that has to happen for them to tell the story the right way. So he finished part two. He's like, that game was amazing. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know why I didn't listen to you sooner. I'm like, yes, we have that conversation all the
Oh,
time about everything. Why didn't you listen to me sooner? But, and he's like, dude, and I kind of like Abby. He's like, I get it. He's like, I get the things that she did. I get who she was. Because I told you, I was like, the argument can be made by the end of the show that Abby is a better person than Ellie. And he's like, yeah, I kind of see it. He's like, the one thing that he noticed is like at any point in the game when he's playing as Ellie, he's like Team Ellie. When he's playing as Abby, he's kind of Team Abby. So like, and that's sort of the point, right? Is that you kind of are supposed to be behind either one because they're either not wrong or they're completely wrong, depending on how you want to look at it. But it was just really interesting to have the conversation. And he's just like, He's like, I get it. He's like, I get it. He's like, I get the whole point of the game. He's like, I get it all. And I was like, very cool. I was like, I did my job, you know. Um,
It's like bugging me because I was gonna Google it. I'm just gonna just keep it real. Who was the OG APNCer who came on to talk
Alex.
with? Thank you.
Yeah.
So Alex, what is Alex's take on Abby versus
I've
Ellie?
um I have to check with him. I know he was not as much of a fan of the second game as the first game,
Okay.
and he's not as much of the fan of the second game as I was. Um, a lot of that had to do with the Abby bit. A lot of it had to do with, I think less of it had to do with Joel dying. Um, but at the same time, like he's Team Joel. Alex is a cosplayer. He has cosplayed as Joel many times. So I know like he took that a little personal, right? Like, um, but I know from talking to him, like he doesn't dislike the second game as much as he did when he first played it. Like it grew on him a little bit. I don't think it grew on him as much as it did me, um, or my son in in this case today. But I
Hmm.
don't think he hates it. But I do actually think that he's still not in love with it. I really need to check with him on his take on season two of the show.
We should have
And
him
then
back actually and just talk about season two because I think
yeah,
it was, when we had him the first time it was season one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
special episode.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring him back before season three starts,
There you go.
and
Yeah,
we can
makes
kind of
more sense.
recap it and do that,
Yeah,
and
good
talk about
call.
expectations for the next season. Um, but yeah, I think it was really cool to see my kid's eyes get open
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. Number one, yeah, this game is great. Like if you're a gamer and you haven't played those, you're doing yourself a disservice. They're incredible. Um, and then to see the point of the story that they were trying to get across, to see him actually get that was really awesome. So that was part one of my video game talk. And then really quick, I just finished a game called Claire Obscure Expedition 33. This game is came out earlier this year. It is made by a French studio. Uh, the aesthetics of this game are insanely French. Like, I don't know another way to describe it. Like, it's French as fuck. Like, it really is. It's weird. I've actually it has a really solid like voice actor cast. Like a lot of the people that do the voice actors for the American are good actors. As a matter of fact, the main character in the first part of the game is Charlie Cox from Daredevil.
Okay.
And then he gets replaced by somebody partway through who was a main voice actor in Final Fantasy 16. So the guy's been around. But the voice acting is awesome. Like it's really, really good. But I've heard some people say if you really want to go full crazy, play it in French because it has the French dialogue. And they're like, it's like it adds to it. But so this game is weird because it's visually beautiful, but it's not like the graphics aren't at the same time like aren't as stunning as something like The Last of Us or something like that, where the graphics are almost photorealistic sometimes. It definitely feels video gamey, but the world is beautiful. It's a weird, like dreamy world, and the music is incredible. Like the music is it's beautiful. Like it's soft orchestral music through most of it. Um, but that's like one of the biggest buzzes around this game is just the music is so good.
I like that.
Um, I am of the thinking now that a lot of people are. This is probably going to be the game of the year. This one's going to win game of the year this year. Um, and it's a trip like this. So you start off, you're in this again. It's incredibly French little village in this town that has gone through this thing they call the fracture, and it's like this little Parisian town, but it's broken and it's being overgrown by something, and it's like they don't really go into detail, but they basically explain that like it was fractured and now this town is kind of in the middle of the ocean. Like it's just like this is how they live. There's this big monolith out in the middle of the water and it has a big number 33 on it. And what is happening is it's been counting down from 100.
Mm.
Nobody really knows what caused the fracture. It's been 67 years. Um, and every year, and there's this giant woman out there, and they call her the paintress, and she's the one that turns the calendar every year. But they don't know anything about her. They don't know who she is. They just know that she's not a god, but she feels like similar to a god, like, and she just sits out there. Like, it's the only thing. And so every year, I don't know if this is a French word or what it means, but there's what's called a gommage. And a certain number of people, once you're over a certain age, you just disappear. You just, you're gone. And so they actually start talking about this later in the story, but they're like, you have to decide as you're growing up if you're going to have kids. And if you're going to have kids, you have to have them early if you want to have any kind of life with them. Because if you do it late in life, you're going to be gone before they're even old enough, for whatever. So I mean, it's a deep, like, cool story. And the reason it's called Expedition 33 is every year an expedition goes out to try and get to the paintress to see if they can figure out what's going on, fight her, whatever it is they have to do to stop this countdown, to stop these people from disappearing every year. And then that's the game that you play. And I don't want to ruin the story because it's so, like, deep and, like, fascinating. But it starts off really weird because there's a lot of explanation that is just not given. Like, if you like really think about the name, the paintress, and the stuff that's going on, like, there's some stuff that you can definitely kind of put together as you start to play it. Um, but it gets deeper, and it's like it's a really good, much like oh shit, what was I watched a couple weeks ago? But, like, it's a really good allegory for, like, sadness and loss and all that. Like, the things that are happening um, are really good, and there's a choice that you make at the very end of the game, um, and it's really interesting because kind of what feels like the right choice is sort of the wrong choice, and the one that feels like the wrong one is kind of the right one. It's a trip, and it's just, like, intellectually, the further into it you get, it's a beautiful game. Visually, it's beautiful. The music is incredible. The voice acting is great, and I think I think this thing is going to win, and I think it's going to win for the right reasons. So if you're a gamer, I definitely say give it a shot. I can see how it's not for everybody. It is definitely kind of in the role playing vein, which for a lot of people is kind of too nerdy to go play. Um, but the the actual gaming itself is challenging. So if that's your thing, I think you can get a lot out of it. The story really is really impressive. The further into it you get, like, it starts weird. There's some characters in it that are just bizarre, and you're like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, they're so bizarre, so weird. And the longer you're in it, like, the kind of more they start to make sense and the more you accept them. Like, there's this one big giant character that doesn't make any sense. It looks like a giant beanbag almost. And he kind of talks dopey, and, like, he's just weird. And you're like, this is stupid. And by the end, he's like literally everybody's favorite character. Like, everybody that plays it, they're like, Esquier is the best. And yeah, it's just really impressive. And I think that still to me is the one thing that video games have as an advantage going forward is if you can appeal to the right people. The storytelling is different than in a movie because you're making the people experience it. And in some games you're even basing the ending, even the middle parts of the story on the things that people do so that you can get a different ending. You can do different things that you can't do in film, and it draws you in more. Um, Film isn't going anywhere. I think film is incredible. I don't think video games are going to replace film, but I think we are moving further and further into video games getting better and better. Then you see that with something like The Last of Us, where it was so good as a game that somebody said, not only do we have to make this a show, but, like, yes, it's an adaptation, so there are differences, but it's damn close. Like, we're really not veering off. Whereas, like, in the past, you did Assassin's Creed, where the movie was just a dumpster fire
Right.
that has nothing, like, doesn't feel like the games at all. Or like Doom, they made movies out of. Uh, I would say the Resident Evil movies were actually pretty, like, they were an adaptation again, but they were closer to the original games. But it's always been a struggle. But it's always been a struggle because there wasn't necessarily great stories in games. And now I think that is becoming more and more of a thing that they're trying to put out there. So um, it really has become an experience. And I mean, I say that as a nerd who's been playing video games since I had an Atari at like 7 years old, like before a Nintendo. Um, but um, yeah, it's a great game. So if you've got, I think it's on every console. I played it not for free necessarily, but I have Xbox Game Pass, which means if Xbox puts out a game and it's on Game Pass, you can just play it. You don't have to go buy it. You don't have to you don't even have to download it because they have a service called Cloud Gaming. So like you can just stream it. I can actually play it on my iPhone, and it's an Xbox level game. So really cool. Um, like I said, brilliant storytelling, beautiful. I need to just grab the soundtrack because it's great. I think if I start looking at the soundtracks that I need to put into my daily rotation, it's going to be Sinners and um, Expedition 33.
I'm
So
actually gonna add it right now. I love music, as you know, and
yes.
um, you're taking me back. Again, I had my video game era um, uh, between the years 1980. Yep, it's all here. Between the years 1985 and 1989, and
That's the Nintendo Entertainment System era.
added, yeah, yeah. So the two RPGs I played, or like whatever. One was called The Bard's Tale, and there was
Oh
three of
yeah,
them.
I've heard of the Bard's
Maybe there's
Tale.
more than that, but I remember I paid all three. And then there was one called Ultima, and I played
Oh
Ultima.
yeah, Ultima was the shit.
Okay,
Ultima was
yeah,
like the hardcore RPG. Like that
yeah,
was like yeah.
but I loved it, man.
Hmm.
And the things you did absolutely impacted your gameplay.
Hmm.
Um, so to me, it's like that's what this sounds like a bit. And I mean, dude, I remember the whole summer of '87, dude. Yeah, I just played Ultima. I didn't care. Ultima and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's it. That's all I did all summer. Didn't go outside. Didn't need to. Why?
Yeah.
Like, but the only problem is the dungeon disc didn't work. Like, it would just like crap out, so that I could only get
Oh,
so far, and then I couldn't. That was like disc D or something. But for anyways,
now you're aging
oh,
us, dude.
I
When
don't care.
games
I
came on
don't
like
care.
eight
I'm
discs,
proud.
like
I look damn good for my age. So no,
yeah,
but seriously though, but like yeah, like we're OGs. So to me, it's like that's cool that games at some point I'll have to get back into it. Like when my own like life slows down or whatever, I'll get back into it because it sounds. I mean that sounds up my alley, dude.
yeah. It's really cool, and then like it's weird because the gameplay is it's what's called turn-based. So like you don't have to do something to move. Like if you stop for a second, nothing will happen. But at
Yeah.
the same time, like when the in this game in particular, when the enemy attacks, it's like super active, and like your reaction time and your ability to react does affect your combat. Whereas other kind of turn-based games don't necessarily do that. Like the older Final Fantasy games, probably I think Ultima back in the day was also turn-based. You'd make a decision, and then the other character would make a decision. So it wasn't like a fighting game, like
No.
um,
Ernie.
this one sort of blends the two together. And the downside for me was that because I was on cloud gaming, there's a little bit of lag. So a lot of times I would get my ass kicked in these fights because like I would hit the button and it just wouldn't work. And I'm like, fuck. And video games are like the one thing in the world that infuriate me. Like when I get mad, they make me so mad.
Well,
But yeah.
but you can at least like do save points, right? Can you
Oh
like
yeah, 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 for sure.
yeah, and
For
that
sure.
way like so that's your insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so
Uh,
definitely like if you're out there, if you're a gamer and for some reason you haven't played this one, I definitely give it a go. Stick with it because it starts a little weird, it starts a little vague, like it's got a funky feel to it. But by the end it's so smart and so heartfelt that the decision that you have to make at the end, like you feel it, like it's impactful. And it's a trip. It's a real trip.
Word
So,
up.
so cool. I don't have anything else. I think you don't have anything else.
I do not have anything else, my man.
All
And
right.
it'd be a 2 week hiatus for me.
Yep. I
Although,
think
and the third Saturday, I think is like, no, it's not quite 4th of July. I think but it's around that time.
it's around then. I think that's when things start coming out. I think Jurassic Park is the first
Oh,
one.
July is going to be nuts.
Yeah, we got
Yes.
Jurassic Park, Superman, which looks even better. Although, funny enough, the new Superman trailer was actually the closest I've come to being turned off by Superman. There was some CGI in there and some slow motion where I was like, I don't want it to be too much. Like if you're gonna do it, it has to be perfect. It
Like when he
has
like
to be
grabbed the
perfect.
kid and like it's like
That one I've seen enough times that it doesn't
yeah.
bother me.
Okay.
And you can do that like once or twice. But as soon as you go the Snyder route or you go the Flash route where there's like an entire sequence in slow motion, then you're pushing it. Because I think what the one in the trailer is when he's fighting all the guys around him and he's like punching them, and there's like a slow motion punch and dude's teeth go flying out. I'm like, dude, that feels like the Flash to me, and like that's like I'm worried about that.
Well, for me, I think you saw it on my page too. Like my favorite moment and easily my favorite like scene from this whole thing was just seeing Guy like walking down and then all of a sudden he's like that and it's like a middle finger like up
Yeah,
at the tank. I'm like, that's cool. So Guy Gardner, like I'll admit I don't know his personality that well,
no,
but
that's very much his personality.
that
Yeah,
I love that. Like that is so cool. We haven't seen that yet in DC. Like not like
yeah,
that. So that's fresh. And now he's not yeah, that stupid looking haircut, but like if you're stupid looking but you're an asshole, like
dude,
cool.
and that stupid haircut is like what he's got in the comics. Like if you look it up in
Yeah.
the comics, he's got a dumbass haircut. He's got a penis head, but like he's a grumpy dick, and I think that's why Gunn chose him as his Green Lantern for this movie because that fits
Billion.
his but if it's James Gunn's story aesthetic too, like he likes to push the envelope a little bit, and Guy Gardner or Hal Jordan is so proper,
Yes.
which is funny that Ryan Reynolds played him because he's kind of not. But Hal Jordan is, a military guy. He's definitely more
Right.
heroic, more proper, and Guy Gardner's a pain in the ass, and that fits
So
what
how did he
Gunn likes
get
to
one
do.
of the rings? Like that to me, I want to find like there maybe they will explain a little bit, but like I thought the ring lantern, Green Lantern Corps was supposed to be like these virtuous people and the ring finds like the best people on each planet, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it finds a hero on each planet.
Yeah.
So like uh he's heroic. He wants to do the right thing. He's just not the nicest guy about it, and that's kind of the difference. And the other thing is like the whole point of the Green Lantern rings too is you can't be fearful, right?
Mm,
You can't have fear. That's the whole like thing. If fear gets in, shit goes sideways. And so he's not afraid of shit because he's crazy. But like Hal Jordan gets his because a lantern crashed on Earth and he finds the ring and it kind of adopts him. But he's also, you know, pure and heroic and all that shit. But I think Guy Gardner fits because there was a thing about James Gunn didn't want to use Thor in Guardians 3
right.
because he was like, I don't know how to write that character. He's like, I don't want to do it a disservice. I don't want to do it poorly. So I just don't want to use him. And before Thor, Thor 4, whatever it was called, Thor suck butt,
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder, there you go. Um, like Taika had done a really good job with
Yes.
Thor. And I don't think Gunn could duplicate that. And I think that so he was like, I don't want to screw that up. Apparently he was going to let Taika do that himself. But he's like, I don't want to mess that up and ruin my own characters. And he had such a good story to tell with Guardians 3 that I don't think ultimately Thor needed to be in there. So,
At all.
but I like to see that decision making. I like to see somebody that says, this is what I do. So let me write to that thing that I do. And that actually does make me more excited for Superman because I don't think he'd be making it if he didn't understand what he was doing. And for him to choose Guy over Hal Jordan, and then like you said, to see that, you know, he, he understands that character. He knows who that character is.
I just figured it out. It also is a contrast because as I was like, moving and stuff, I was actually had one of our old school episodes playing, and it was the one with Chad. Actually, it's a good episode. You should listen to it again. It was like one of our better ones. Chad talked about how what makes Superman Superman is not his powers. There's mad powerful
Hmm.
people in the DC
Yep.
universe. What makes him his Superman is his personality, his moral code, all that stuff. So to have this really nice guy paired up with this grumpy guy, I think also it makes a great contrast for storytelling.
Yeah, and I think too, I think they're going to be at odds for a while. Not that they're necessarily going to be enemies,
Yeah.
but they're not even the Justice League, and there's the Justice
Yes.
Pals or something like that. Like they're
Yeah.
just
I
something
was like,
silly. But at least the early idea was is that these guys are a group of superheroes that are basically on, I think it's Maxwell Lord's
Maxwell
budget.
Lord. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so they're not they're
Justice
kind
King.
of Justice Gang, that's what it is. Yeah, and they're basically like not necessarily heroes for hire, but they're out doing it like almost like a police force, whereas, Superman is Superman. He's not doing it for somebody else. He's doing it because it's the right thing.
Right.
And that's always been his thing. And I think we're going to get that right. Like I really need this to go well because I need the Snyder fans to shut up. Like there's such like not because I think they're wrong. I really did like the Man of Steel. I think he butchered the Justice League movies, but I think Man of Steel was solid. I do disagree with some of the choices he made. But it's an adaptation and it's not a bad film.
Yeah.
But they can't let go and let there be another one. They're like, oh, it's not Henry Cavill. It's not great. And they're like, oh, this guy is such a weenie. I'm like, dude, have you seen the dude? The dude
Yeah.
is jacked. He is bigger than Cavill. Like every argument that they make, I'm like, you just need to take a deep breath and give the film a shot.
Cavill's now too old anyway.
Yeah.
It's starting to show. So yeah, I was sad. I was angry. You remember how angry I
Yeah.
was. But I'm ready now. I'm ready for new
And,
blood.
and my whole thing is you have to give it a shot. It might actually suck. It could actually be bad. I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be, but like it could be. And then they would be completely justified to bag on it. But like just give it a shot because if it's good, then it's good and we need that.
It can't be any worse than Justice League, as in the first one, the
Oh,
2017 one.
that
I
was
remember I was
terrible.
playing at a bar somewhere and I was looking up and I was slightly interested with Saloni. And then as soon as I saw like forget the guy's name, Steppenwolf. As soon as I saw
Oh,
like human Steppenwolf, I was like, turn away.
yeah.
They're like, just let's go. It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so you can't reason with Zack Snyder fans because like they're just like, nope, this is the only
Rabid.
good thing. And I'm like, but it like okay, let's just pretend. Let's just pretend all of those movies were good. Let's just pretend. They're gone. Like they're done. They're not coming back. Give the next thing a chance. But they're like, no, they got to bring back the Snyderverse. I'm like, dude, he doesn't even want to bring back the Snyderverse. Like he's done with it. So just say adieu, bid it farewell, and give the next thing a chance. And it's just crazy to me. Like they just can't do it. And I'm
I'm
like,
ready for Hawk Girl too. I have a slight mini crush on I call her Dina now, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like yeah, like
She's
okay.
dope, man. She's killing it everywhere. Like she's just so good in everything right now. Isabella Merced, she's awesome. Um, I'm really curious to see what is it, Eddie Gathegi? Is that his name?
Correct, Eddie.
I'm curious to see what he does because it's
Yeah.
an interesting character. Mr. Terrific is a cool character, um, and he deserves his redemption. He
Yes.
got totally boned in
O's. I
X-Men, and
think he
he
even
knows
said in
it.
an interview,
Yeah,
he's like, we don't talk about that.
yeah, yeah. He got screwed, man. He got screwed
It was
hard
such bullshit. I
because
remember
he's
being in the
supposed to be
theater,
the character that can't die, and they're like, "Hey, you know what?"
and
He's
he's the
like,
only one. That's like, of course they killed the black guy again.
"Yeah, yeah." Like
Bloody hell.
the indestructible black guy. Like to emphasize how much they had to. Jesus, man.
Uh,
So I assume his press tour indicates that he's not going to die in this movie. So he'll be
I'd be
around for a
surprised
while.
if anyone dies in this movie. I feel like this movie is that's not the tone.
Yeah, yeah, I actually agree. And it shouldn't be. That's actually like one of the biggest problems I have with a lot of superhero movies. If you kill your villains, you can't bring them back. And that's something that makes superhero movie villains great, is that they keep coming back in different ways. Like that was one of the biggest disappointments in Michael Keaton's Batman. When you kill the Joker at the end, you're like, but dude, he was so good. Like he needs to be
Back then, movies
available.
were one shots. They weren't even trying to
But then
like
they did like 8 of them.
well, I mean, they did like I know you're exaggerating, but like
Yeah,
no, like I feel like back then, like a sequel was only done
that's true.
for money. Like it was like they weren't
Yeah, they
every
talk about it in the
movie.
Superman, the Superman documentary we watched.
Yeah,
Like they start talking about how the third and the fourth were absolute money grabs
yeah.
and just shameful.
So
Um,
we paid like Jack Nicholson like what 20 million or something crazy. Like he was the
you
most.
got he made a lot of
So
money.
so they were like, we can't afford to bring him back. We
Yeah,
gotta kill him.
but even if you don't like just the idea that they're out there, you can mention them. They can be in the universe, but in that universe, he's gone. But to be fair, the second Batman movie was good, and Danny DeVito was creepy as balls as the Penguin.
Too creepy. Like it was like I even like when I watched it, I never saw it when it came out. I had to go back and watch it later. But I remember just getting an icky feeling and
Oh yeah,
but what's her name was so good.
that's Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
Yeah, she was great. Well, I remember so in Livermore, there was a theater. It was the Vine Theater, which now is a totally different thing. But when the Vine Theater was around when I was first in high school, before the before second Batman movie came out, it was second run films all the time. And they did 2 films on Wednesday nights or something like that for like 2 films for like $2 or something crazy like that.
Awesome.
But it was always second run. The films that had been out of the theaters for a while, then they brought them back. And then they finally were like, we're going to turn the corner. We're going to do new releases. The first film they did was Batman 2, the one with the Penguin.
Nice. Yeah.
And so I remember being in line for that, like outside, like it was a whole thing. So like I saw that one in the theater basically
That's
opening
amazing.
night.
Nice.
Um,
Summer
and
for me too.
yeah, and it was a good flick, but yeah, it was creepy as balls. Like they definitely like was what's his name? Burton went full Burton on that.
Yeah, and apparently, like there was parents who were complaining because
Oh
like
yeah.
Catwoman like licked them on the face, and it was
Hmm.
just too much, and like yeah, it was just weird. And I think he was supposed to do the third one, and then like something happened, and then
Yeah.
like Schumacher took over. And I actually saw that one. Speaking of high school, we're totally tangenting now, but like I saw that the night before I graduated. It was like I want to say June
Uh,
15th, and then I think we graduated June 16th. 1995.
yeah.
I remember liking it. I do, but I think it was
Which one was the
like
first Schumacher one?
that one, Batman Forever, with what's his name?
Alicia Silverstone and no, she
I
was in
don't
the
know if
next
Alicia
one.
was there yet. She was in the fourth one, which was terrible.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, that was Batman and Robin. So Batman Forever was Val Kilmer, right? And then you had Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and then you had Tommy Lee
Tommy
Jones
Lee
as
Jones.
Two-Face.
Yeah.
That was good. It was like it was solid, you know. But then you also had what's his name as Robin showing up for the first time. Forget his
Hmm.
name. It was like a
Chris
code.
something or other. Chris.
Chris. Anyways, Chris.
Yeah.
But
They're
then
all.
do you remember his
I said
name?
they're all Chris's. There's so many
Oh
Chris's.
yeah, so many Chris's. But then the fourth one came out. I remember we I was in college. It was me and a bunch of like it was summertime again. We all went, and it was the same feeling we had after we saw like the Phantom Menace, which was we're all looking at each other like that wasn't good, was it? And we're like, no, dude, that was terrible. Especially Batman and Robin. That was like
Yeah.
George Clooney biffed it and he knew it. And like, you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age, or like whatever. It was like, like
Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger was terrible. Like, oh my
So bad.
God. It was a stinker. And I actually know someone who interned on that film and she totally disowned it afterwards because she was so excited. And I'm like, really? Like this is what you're working on?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm just in publicity, man. Don't look at me.
Yeah. It was. It was like the first two were like these
Bat
really
nipples.
cool, like dark comic book films, but they still felt like comic books. And then they decided to go like comic booky with the next one, and it worked okay
Yes.
because Jim Carrey as the Riddler, I mean, to be fair, was probably a little too over the top, but he was
But it was
also
so good.
like at his peak. This was
Yes.
like peak Jim Carrey, so it was
Yes.
accepted. Tommy Lee Jones went a little over the top, but it felt like it fit this world that they created that was
Yes.
comic booky. And then the next one, they're like, well, what if we made it funnier, which made it more stupid? And then everything was a
Chris
punchline.
O'Donnell.
Chris
Chris
O'Donnell.
O'Donnell. It came back to me. All right, keep going.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it was just like everything was just too
Do
punny.
you know No, it wasn't Will Smith. It was Damon Wayne. No, not Damon. Marlon. Marlon Wayans well, actually, I think they're both auditioned. Marlon Wayans actually still gets residuals from that movie. Like he didn't do it, but he was like contracted. Marlon Wayans was supposed to be Robin. But before Marlon Wayans, it was supposed to be Will Smith, and he turned it down. So Chris O'Donnell was a third. Like
That's crazy. He
it
actually
is.
wasn't a bad choice for Robin. Like it worked okay. He was maybe a
Chris?
little too old, Chris
Chris
O'Donnell.
O'Donnell? Yeah, yeah, he was
Yeah,
fine. He was
yeah.
fine.
Um, but then as soon as they put nipples on the suit, shit went downhill real fast. Like,
No.
like at some point, then they're like, we're gonna remake Batman, but what if we made his suit like I don't know, functional with Bale? Like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Robert Pattinson's looked fine. Like, make it seem like it works.
I still feel like the Nolan verse is peak DC for right now. That to
Yeah,
me is
yeah.
the DC to beat.
Yeah, and the thing about that one is that Batman is a dark character, so you can stick with drama. Superman is harder to do because you have to walk that line between being corny but still being light and good. Like that when they did the Man of Steel, they went dark. Like it's not like a light version of Superman, like the original you know, Christopher Reeve and all that. And that really is kind of who Superman is. Like he's out there trying to do the right thing, save the world in the right way. And so going darker doesn't work for Superman, but it did work for Batman, and that's why Christian Bale's and Nolan's Batman films were so good because they could be grounded, they could be dark. And Batman is a character that works grounded because he doesn't have any superpowers. Superman has all of the fucking superpowers, and so you've got to like find ways to make that work without going over the top.
And to me, maybe I'm biased, but I just feel like Smallville struck the best chord. Like
Yeah,
they stuck it. Like he's like light and he's like a good person, but he's in this world that's a little kooky, you know?
yeah,
And but also not too bright and colorful. It just felt very real. Yes, it's
yeah.
a teen drama and all that, but I think that if I was making Superman movies, I would kind of look to that. Of course, I'd mind the hell out of the comics, but like I don't want it to be too bubbly, but I
Uh,
also don't want it to be grimdark like Snyder.
yeah,
So
yeah. Like I said, Superman's a tricky one. Superman really is because you have to actively avoid the corny, and that does take somebody that is gifted because it's not necessarily easy to do with somebody that doesn't do bad, you know.
do you think not Snyder, do you think
Gun.
Gunn will pull off? Because I mean, I think at one point Crypto was like fighting along with him, and I don't know, man. Like, how do you
I
not
I
make a
think
fighting
I think
dog
it
work?
might be a little corny, but I
Yeah.
think if somebody can pull that off, it's James Gunn.
Okay.
Like he is good at that stuff. So we'll see. Like I don't want to just like I don't want to be like a Snyder person and be like Gunn does everything
Yes.
great and he's got like he can fuck it up. Like he can this can be a bad film. I don't think it will be. I'm excited for it. Like I want to see it. I think it's going to be good. Everything I've seen, I like the cast. Corin Sweat, he's a great Superman look to me. I obviously like Lois Lane. I think Nick Lex Luthor,
Oh yeah, yeah, you know what I'm talking
Nicholas
about.
Holt.
Yeah.
I think he looks good. He's got some attitude. I think the pieces are there, so I'm excited for it, and I'm definitely like I'm willing to give it a chance, and I think it's going to be very, very different than Man of Steel, and I think that's okay. I think people just have to accept that. But we definitely live in a world right now where people like to hate shit, so it'll be really interesting to see. Like I was just talking to my son today, Transformers One, which we
Yeah.
saw, it was brilliant, is not going to get a sequel. They're done.
Yeah, I saw that too today. And to me, it's like, that's
That
fine.
breaks my
Yeah.
heart.
But it's just like, you know what? That's what you get for marketing it
Like a
as
kids
like a
movie.
kiddie film. So
Yeah.
that's what you get. So for me, it's almost like, you know what? So like, it's so funny because I feel like I have to kind of like reel it in, especially if Pete was here because Andrew hates comedies. But it's like, dude, Andor is not funny. They dropped the comedy shit and we got fucking a
Hmm.
masterpiece. So can we please stop with the comedy and just get serious? Like, if we do another Transformers movie, can we just make it serious again? Like, make
Yeah.
it like Transformers the movie. Because we haven't had that since Transformers the movie. Because y'all got scared because the movie bombed because you marketed it wrong. Yes, you cannot have like a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm getting mad now. But like, you cannot have like you can't go from like nice TV cartoon and then the movie comes and everyone's getting killed left and right. Like, what are you doing? But if you ease us in, or at least just please just stop with the kitty shit. Let's get serious and
Yeah.
make a real Transformers movie in the spirit of G1.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it is unfortunate because like you said, the marketing did that movie dirty. It was a
Correct.
good story. It was
Yes, it
actually
was.
really good. And it is really unfortunate that it's not going to get a sequel. Um, and I hope, I keep saying it, but I hope people take notes. Like advertising is a
Yeah,
big fucking deal. Like, cause, I think, Thunderbolts, I actually didn't think Thunderbolts was poorly,
yeah.
advertised. I think it suffered from the sins of the films that came before it. Easily the best Marvel film in a while. And it does make me worry for Fantastic Four. It does make me worry for the future of like the Avengers films and things like that. If people are going to be haters before it even gets to the theater, it makes it harder. Like it makes it harder for it to succeed.
Two words will save Fantastic Four.
Pedro Pascal.
Bro, that's good. Yep.
Yeah, dude,
I'm talking.
he is so talented. I've always said the moment that I knew that he really had it was actually the Nicolas Cage one, The
Oh,
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
yeah.
He was so just like completely different than any other character, and that's when I was like, oh, this dude can do this. Like this dude can act because he's so goofy and it's like so just completely different. Because before that, he had been Mandalorian, he was in Game of Thrones where he was cocky, but like he was dramatic, you know.
Yeah.
And to see him have, more than one side, then you're like, okay, this dude can do all kinds of stuff. And then to hear everybody that works with him, nobody dislikes Pedro. Like that's a big deal, I think. Like if you are universally loved and putting out good content, it means like you're a good person. Like the universe is working for you. And I think right now we're in the Pedro era.
Yes.
Like it or not, the dude's in everything. And
I
he's
love
killing
how the
it.
Last of Us guy was like, "What are you guys talking about? He's everywhere. Like, leave me alone."
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you want him back? Go to the movies right now. He's out there.
Yes.
Just he'll be in something. I promise." Yeah, that was a funny quote. I think it was Craig. Was it? I don't know if it was Craig or Neil. But yeah, it was actually really funny. He's like, stop, just leave me alone. Pedro is still alive. You can find Pedro anywhere.
Yes.
So, all right, cool. We've yammered on enough about nonsense as we do.
Yes, we do.
Uh, I think next week, I'm pretty sure Lauren will be back. I don't know what I'm watching before next week. I feel like there's something coming. By the time you're back, we'll be able to talk Squid Game.
Yes.
And I feel like something else. And then Jurassic Park's coming, and then July is going to be the big kaboom. So we'll have lots of good stuff.
And
So,
then
so with that, I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.